WWE right now has some really awesome champions and some really questionable champions. And in today's video, we're going to be ranking from worst to best, a list of all of the current WWE main roster champions. And I'll be giving my thoughts on why they're the worst and why they're the best. So I definitely suggest you guys stick around to find out who that best champion is. And definitely, if you guys are new here, be sure to like this video and also be sure to subscribe to the channel. My name is Billy TKO. Let's do this. So, kicking things off with the worst champion, this is going to raise a lot of heads. I have Julia, and the reason why it's not because it's Julia, and I understand people are like, oh my god, how could you ever say that about Julia? She is not the worst champion. Julia is amazing. I agree. Julia is amazing. The problem is the booking. The booking of her championship run has not been placed in the best hands. And granted, yes, we did have Kiana James team up with Julia. She is some kind of attorney type for Julia. It's a weird situation. But at the end of the day, Julia's run hasn't been the greatest. In fact, that Women's United States Championship hasn't been the greatest booked championship all around. Now, Julia did win it from Zelina Vega at Night of Champions, or the Friday Night SmackDown before Night of Champions, in a really cool moment. But at the end of the day, nothing has happened since. And Julia is a phenomenal superstar. Let's be real here. It's Julia. We know how good she is. We knew about her run in NXT. We know about her runs elsewhere. Julia is outstanding. Again, it's just that title in particular. It doesn't have the same booking that maybe the Women's Intercontinental Championship has, which a lot of people were like, oh yeah, that's how the championship should be booked, the Women's Intercontinental Championship. The Women's United States Championship should have that same feeling, and just sadly, it doesn't. And in fact, all of SmackDown's champions, which we'll talk about here soon, really doesn't necessarily hit maybe the way others do. Coming in at number 2, I have the World Tag Team Champions, JD McDonough and Finn Balor. While they are not the worst, I don't feel that they have been given the opportunity to run with these championships maybe the way that they should. In fact, these tag team championships have not been booked very well at all. I actually think that WWE has been very lackluster on the tag team division on the Raw side for quite some time. These championships just feel like championships to be there. They don't necessarily have any meaning. Don't get me wrong, there's been some decent matches. Obviously, they had the match with LWO and whatnot, but the main focus of JD McDonough and Finn Balor hasn't been those championships. The main focus has been the Judgment Day storyline. So it feels like the titles are just on them just to have them there. There's no real meaning behind JD and Finn Balor winning these championships. Now, I don't necessarily know how WWE could go about fixing the Raw tag team division. The problem is that with Raw, there's already so much going on that it feels like this runs to the wayside and just kind of sits there with no purpose and no true meaning. And I hate that because let's be real here. Finn Balor, JD McDonough, they're both amazing talents. And I'm actually kind of looking forward for the day that we move away from the Judgment Day storyline where these guys can go and flourish into singles competitors and do what they're really here and supposed to be doing. And I don't think them being the tag team champions is that. And granted, yes, I know their history. I know how good of friends that they are. I know they came up together. They learned, JD in particular, learned from Finn. So I understand that. I think it's awesome. But I just don't see them necessarily needing those tag team titles. And for please, the love of God, let's fix the booking of these championships. Coming in at number 3, I have no other than Solo Sikoa in the United States Championship. The reason why I have the United States Championship ranked here is because it feels like it's stuck in this weird vortex. And when I say vortex, I mean the bloodline vortex. Sadly, the United States Championship is supposed to be something that moves people forward. It's supposed to develop no different than the Intercontinental Championship. We know that the Intercontinental Championship is normally a stepping stone to move people and develop them forward, but it doesn't look like that's necessarily the case with the United States Championship. It looks like they kind of book it in a way where it's technically considered a main title when, the WWE champion isn't there. But then after that, when the WWE champion does show up, it's pushed away. It's pushed to the wayside. And don't get me wrong, it's been defended on PLEs and stuff like that, especially with Jacob and Solo recently at SummerSlam. But at the end of the day, it just feels like it's stuck in this revolving door. And Solo Sikoa, he won it on June 28th at Night of Champions. He won it from Jacob Fatu. And other than that, it doesn't feel like there's been any excitement. Don't get me wrong, Solo Sikoa is hilarious. I find the guy to be one of the funniest characters on WWE TV. The problem is the booking of this championship. Again, it just lacks star power. Not to say Solo and Jacob, they're not stars, but it just feels like it's not developing. That would be the better word to use here. It's not developing anybody, and it's not pushing them forward. Coming in at number 4, I have Tiffany Stratton, the WWE Women's Champion. Now, the reason why I have Tiffany Stratton here and not much higher on the list is strictly because this championship just lacks star power. Granted, you have Jade Cargill fighting for the title, and Tiffany Stratton has had some great matches with Nia Jax. At the end of the day, again, it just feels like it's in this revolving door. It feels like there's not enough star power on SmackDown to create a compelling story with Tiffany Stratton. They tried with Jade Cargill. It did not work. They ultimately had her lose to Tiffany, and I feel like Tiffany is the right champion. I'm not going to lie to you. She is. The problem with it is it all falls on booking. At the end of the day, if it's not being booked correctly, then you are going to run into these problems where it's a revolving door. Things are continuous. Things are just moving at this pace where nothing is really happening. And if you were to ask me, it feels like WWE sometimes is scared to pull the trigger on something new. Now, granted, they try it here and there, but they know in their heart of hearts when something is right and when something is not. And for them, Tiffany Stratton probably just feels right, which, again, I fully agree with. But at the end of the day, it just feels like this problem of this revolving door. And I can't necessarily, put the nail right there and say, oh, yeah, that's the exact problem. It really does feel like that revolving door. So not much to say about Tiffany Stratton. She is a good champion, but at the end of the day, just not enough story going on for me to be fully compelled in everything that she has going on. Coming in at number 5, right in the middle of the pack, I have Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. Now, these titles, shockingly enough, have been booked a little bit better with these two holding the championships. They were locked in with the Judgment Day for quite some time with Liv and Raquel, and then Raquel and Roxanne. But at the end of the day, it does look like now there is a little bit of storyline that WWE is trying to create with Charlotte and Alexa. You see them, we're not really friends, but now we're friends because we're the champions. What happens when they lose the championships? It is compelling TV, and it's interesting TV. So I'm actually a really big fan of everything that Charlotte and Alexa are doing. And in fact, I like to believe that there is a future, especially because they're teasing the doll and stuff like that, where we see Alexa joining the Wyatt Six, who we'll get into eventually. But I do see a world where Alexa and Charlotte do join them, and they do go out and create more compelling TV, because the feud between those two can be electric. And I think people are just naturally wanting to cheer Charlotte more, so I think that's awesome, and I feel like Charlotte deserves that. Her being away from the Women's World Championship or the Women's WWE Championship is the greatest thing right now for her to do, because it's made her more of a fan favorite, and that's what WWE wanted. They wanted to make her a fan favorite. Now they got it. Charlotte is doing some amazing work. Alexa is doing amazing work. So that's exactly why I have them kind of right at the number 5 spot, because I truthfully am a fan of everything that they are currently doing. Coming in at number 6, I have no other than the Intercontinental Champion, and that is Dominic Mysterio. Dominic Mysterio has been telling some great stories on TV, especially with the likes of AJ Styles. It's been very good stuff. Now, the problem with it is there hasn't been a lot of defenses. Dominic won it at WrestleMania, and we didn't really see him defend it after that. He maybe defended it a couple times, but nothing to, go home about. But his match against AJ Styles was done very well, and the story that they're telling now with AJ Styles is very good. The problem is from when he won it to now, there has not been a lot of story behind this championship. And if you guys can't tell by now, I am 100% a person of story. I believe that championships and the way that they should be booked should be based around the story. And if the story's good, then hey, you're at the top of my list. If it's not, then I got to put you a little bit lower. Dominic Mysterio, he has been doing some cool stuff, but at the end of the day, it has not been all sunshine and rainbows, if you will. So that's why I have Dominic Mysterio here in this 6th spot. Coming in at the number 7 spot, I have the WWE Women's World Champion, and that is Naomi. And the reason why I have Naomi a little lower on this is because as of today, August 16th, 2025, we don't necessarily know what is currently happening with Naomi. In fact, we did just find out that Naomi is going to be on Monday Night Raw this week, discussing the state of the Women's World Champion. Now, my guess here is that she is going to be relinquishing the championship. But let's be real here. Naomi and her character work and everything that they've done to get her to the point to where she is, it has been amazing. It's been outstanding. Her cashing in on Io Sky and Rhea Ripley instead of Jade Cargill and everything that they were doing over there, just chef's kiss. It was amazing work, and WWE really did the right thing with having Naomi do that. A lot of people were skeptical in the beginning, but at the end of the day, her character has just developed more and more and more. And this heel run that she's on, let's be real here, it has been some of the best work that we have seen from anybody on WWE television. The problem is right now we don't know what the state of this championship currently looks like. And for me, that's why I have to put her in this number 7 slot and not higher, because man, I see what they're trying to do with her, and I know that they want to get her to the top of the card, but it's not working, and it sucks, man, because it feels like she's just being pulled back every time something big happens for her. So I wish I could put Naomi higher. I really do. But at the end of the day, I can't. It sucks, but it is what it is. Coming in at my number 8 slot, I do have the WWE Tag Team Champions, Joe Gacy and Dexter Lumis. These guys have been telling some very compelling television over on Friday Night SmackDown. If you ask me, this is the glue of the SmackDown roster right now. The tag team division is 100% the glue, and having them win the championships was 100% the right thing. And in fact, they said they're going to find out who is loyal to who. All these tag teams, are they really loyal to one another? And you're starting to see cracks within some of the tag teams. Questioning, are they really loyal to one another? Now, my biggest gripe here is that the Wyatt Six still have more that they could be doing, and it just feels like WWE isn't doing that. So, me personally, I'm not the biggest fan of that, but I will say the matches that the Wyatt Six have had have been amazing television. I do not care what anybody says. It's been fun to watch. It's been exciting. These guys at SummerSlam in that 6-pack TLC match tore the house down. It had been one of the greatest, if not the greatest, you can make the argument, TLC matches I think I have ever personally seen. But at the end of the day, these guys have truly been helping the SmackDown brand as much as they possibly can. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put them at my number 8 slot. Coming in at my number 9 slot, I do have the Women's Intercontinental Champion, and that is Becky Lynch. And the reason why I have her at the number 9 slot and so high on this list is, let's be real here, that story that she just told between Bayley, herself, Lyra Valkyria, and now with Nikki Bella, has been some of the best compelling TV that there currently is. The current state of the Women's Intercontinental Champion feels exactly like it should. We had the argument of the Women's United States Championship that does not have this same feeling, and it's true, it does not. The story that is being told with the Women's Intercontinental Championship is literally some of the best TV, and nobody, I think, could change my mind or argue the fact that these women in this mid-card role have been tearing the house down. It legitimately is outstanding. Granted, you have Bayley, you have Becky Lynch, you have two vets, you have Lyra Valkyria, who is an outstanding newcomer, and now you bring Nikki Bella in, who is another vet. That women's mid-card doesn't necessarily feel like a mid-card. It feels like a main event, and I feel like that's the problem with the United States Champion, Women United States Championship. It's that it's lacking that star power versus the Intercontinental Championship that legitimately has all of the star power. So I have this put at my number 9 slot. I feel like it's a strong number 9 too. You can make an argument in some cases that it may even be better than some of the next 2 champions that I am going to talk about because, again, it has been compelling television. So Now, let's go jump into the final two. And at number 10, I do have Cody Rhodes. He is the current WWE champion. Cody Rhodes has been booked to the moon. And yes, you can make an argument that I am not a fan of Cody Rhodes. I don't like Cody Rhodes. I don't like what they did with the John Cena storyline. At the end of the day, it is fair to say that they have booked him to oblivion because he is the guy right now. You can make an argument for the number one slot here. Cody Rhodes, to me, has been one of the best booked champions. I mean, the role that he's played with The Rock, the role he's played with John Cena. Years ago, if you were to tell me that Cody Rhodes would be in this position, I legitimately would have laughed at you. I would have laughed in your face and said, "You're crazy, you're out of your mind, not a shot." And then he goes, he starts another promotion, he comes back, he does great television when he gets back to WWE, and then suddenly he has the story with Roman, and then he beats Roman and dethrones him after many trials and tribulations, ultimately for him to go on a run with that championship now with John Cena. I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, you can make an argument that Becky Lynch maybe belongs higher in this list, maybe she doesn't. At the end of the day, Cody Rhodes has been booked very, very well as the WWE champion. He just won it back. Now we're getting him out of that bloodline vortex. We're about to see him take on Drew McIntyre, which will be exciting. It's going to be very interesting television and very interesting to see how this second run as WWE champion looks for Cody Rhodes. And finally, we have reached the best champion. And just like I said in my video yesterday, I am a hater of this gentleman. I don't like this gentleman. I have problems with this gentleman, but that just means that they're doing something right with him, and that is no other than the World Heavyweight Champion, Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins just recently won the World Heavyweight Championship from CM Punk at SummerSlam when he cashed in and created, again, another moment that will go down in history, known as the ruse of the century, that he played into an injury. He literally was walking around with crutches. This guy played the character so well. But not only that, not only has he been booked very well, you have to look at everything that happened at WrestleMania as well, where the turn happened, where Paul Heyman turned on CM Punk. Paul Heyman turned on Roman Reigns. The next night, you bring out Braun Breaker. A couple weeks later, you bring out Bronson Reed at Saturday night's main event, and suddenly you have a stable known as The Vision that has been one of the most dominant factions on WWE television, and a lot of people will argue and say, there's too much of it going on. It feels like we're watching the same thing over and over again. Yeah, that's what factions feel like. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Factions legitimately feel like the same thing over and over and over and over and over again until finally that hero babyface steps in and finally does something to take control of the situation. That babyface here being CM Punk, in my personal opinion. So Seth Rollins has been booked perfectly. I don't think you can make an argument that there has been a superstar that has been booked any better. Seth Rollins looks the greatest on WWE television. Maybe you can make the argument that CM Punk has been booked very well. At the end of the day, nobody's beating Seth Rollins right now. He is at the top of the food chain. He makes that championship feel like the A championship, which, again, if you look back in history, the WWE Championship has always been the A Championship, and then the World Championship has always been the B Championship. But now it feels like the roles are a little bit reversed, in my personal opinion. It feels like that World Championship, what was meant to be the B Championship, is not that. So that's why I have Seth Rollins at the top of this list. He is a dog. He is a stud. I hate him. But at the end of the day, he's getting it done. So you guys can clown me about my list down in the comments section below if you would like. You guys can leave your comments. You can leave your thoughts. You can leave your opinions. Whatever. All down there. All I ask is that you guys hit that like button. I mean smash that like button legitimately. And then also, if you guys would like, feel free to subscribe to the channel. That is free of charge. Nobody has to do anything. Just hit that subscribe button, man. We are on the road to 6,000 subscribers. We are almost there. We're about 350 subscribers away from 6,000, so we are on the move. But again, let me know your thoughts about my list down in that comment section below. That is all I have for you guys today, and I will be talking to you later. Peace.